Now will we see the magic?
All right, where's Murray? Okay, who is it?
This is Jesus, kid.
Know then that it is the year 10,191.
Yes, we are bored. We're all bored now.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Hello, and welcome to Mary vs. the Movies with your host, Mary Jones.
And Dennis... Dennis Ling coming at you.
How you feeling, Den?
Doing great.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder how many times I'm going to have to edit out you coughing.
Now, I had COVID,
Yep.
and I just shook it off when I
No.
heard that we were watching Master of the Universe today.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So this is episode 79, Masters of the Universe.
Yay!
The He-Man movie.
Yeah, finally.
Not a cartoon. A live-action He-Man movie
Does this count as a superhero movie?
No.
They don't really know how to do superhero movies back then. I mean, other than Superman.
I was going to say, that's not true. I mean, the Superman movies are, well, two of them are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah. Let's not oversell 3 and 4. And Batman movies are going to come. Anyway, the point is, but we're not doing those. We're doing Masters of the Universe. So we're doing this for 2 reasons. 3 reasons. 1, I've never seen it. 2, I was a huge He-Man fan when I was a little kid. 3, it's leaving HBO at the end of the month, so I'm like, okay, well, let's just do this now. So I've never seen this movie.
Yep.
And it's weird that I've never seen this movie because, as I said in number 2, I was a huge He-Man fan when I was a kid. On my 5th birthday, I got every He-Man action figure I think that my dad and uncle could find. I didn't just have He-Man, and I had Teela and Man-at-Arms. I had a little Orko. I had, Skeletor and Evelyn. I had, was it Ram Bam? I mean, I think I had that guy who's like a human fish.
Did you have Castle Grayskull?
I had Castle Grayskull. Are you kidding me? It was awesome.
So I
didn't have, though? I didn't have the sorceress, and that really made me angry, but go on.
You should get that.
I know. Well, come on. I'm 43 years old. I'm not going to go out and buy like a bunch of He-Man toys.
You're Gen X. That's what you do.
I am barely Gen X. Okay, let's not like oversell how Gen X I'm supposed to be.
I had Star Wars toys. I
Yeah.
had, the Death Star. I had the Millennium Falcon. I had lots of that stuff.
We still have the Millennium Falcon up in the attic.
Right. So I have to say, I think He-Man toys may be better.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, like Castle Grayskull is probably the best place that there is.
Oh my God, it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
got the trap door and the throne and everything. Oh my God.
It's really amazing. I mean, like Fisher Price, the Fisher Price Village is pretty cool too, with the one with the bell.
Yes. Oh yeah.
and the,
Everybody loves Fisher Price
yeah.
Village. Yes.
Like, you used army guys in that and all. Put blood.
Well,
Anyway.
no, you. I don't know what you. Wait a minute, you were dripping blood on your Fisher Price. What are you talking
you
about?
take a marker, you drop it.
Sure. Okay.
I had weird friends.
No, actually, that sounds pretty standard for a boy. That's not weird. It's not something that I would have done, but
And then you set it on fire.
again, not weird. Well, you blew up the Death Star
Yeah.
under your house, and you're very lucky, like, you didn't hurt yourself or cause a small fire.
Right.
I watched so much He-Man and She-Ra, and we had She-Ra toys.
Now, He-Man was originally supposed to be Conan?
Yes. Okay,
Right.
so that's the thing. And that's why it's really funny that this movie exists. Because originally, as far as I know, He-Man was Conan the Barbarian. I didn't see Conan the Barbarian, of course, as a kid. Because no child should see Conan the Barbarian.
No.
But I saw it as an adult, and yeah, I mean, it rocks.
Yeah.
It's cool.
The first one.
The first one. I have not seen the second one.
And it's on the list.
It is definitely on the list. Conan the Barbarian is great. I guess at some point, some suit actually realized what they were making toys of and said, wait a minute, we can't do this. So kids are not supposed to watch Conan the Barbarian. So I guess they really quickly whipped up a TV show that's basically Conan the Barbarian, but really toned down and ridiculous. The premise, of course, is you have Prince Adam who gets his hands on the sword. God, what the hell is the sword called? Do you remember? I don't know. He's got like the sword from the sorceress, which, I mean, now you're basically just doing kind of quasi King Arthur, but there's no Merlin. He's fighting Skeletor, which is, you know, an evil wizard who is also like a skeleton who can walk around. Like, it's ridiculous. Skeletor is great.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Skeletor. Like, he's a ridiculous villain, but he's great. Got Orko, who is the weird little, I mean, like, it's funny because
Orko seems like a character from like Star Blazers or like some other like of those early kind of pre-anime Japanese cartoons where they just have some character that doesn't look like anything.
Yeah.
It's just like, here's this weird other guy for the kids. You know, here's the R2-D2.
Every show had one of those.
Yeah.
In He-Man, it was Orko. On Thundercats, it was a Snarf.
Oh, what was the monkey on
Speed Racer?
Yeah.
I forget what the monkey's name was, but it's the same idea.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's always like that thing, the little goblin guy that the kids are supposed to like. You know, R2-D2. Exactly.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a wizard like this thing. Sometimes it's a scientist. I feel like there's scientist characters like that.
Sure.
In those like Star Blazers, where he's like just yelling like bah, 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 bah.
But so I know that this movie is a live action version of He-Man, which was a cartoon version of Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
So it's like 2 steps removed from Conan. So then when you have the He-Man movie, you draw him, he's basically, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger with a bad haircut.
Very
like
bad.
the worst haircut ever. Yeah, I don't know. And you make this quasi-medieval fantasy world, which is actually on another planet. Like, there's an entire lore about He-Man where his mom is actually an American astronaut who goes through, I guess, like a wormhole and ends up on the planet Eternia. And
Eternia looks like crap.
yeah, no, it's not well
It's
animated.
like a big swamp.
Yeah, it's not very interesting.
Yeah, swamp with cliffs.
So you couldn't cast Arnold Schwarzenegger then in the movie version of He-Man. It just wouldn't make sense. And also he was a huge star by then. You're not going to have it be Arnold Schwarzenegger. So if I remember correctly, this is Dolph Lundgren?
I think so, yeah.
I don't have an opinion on Dolph Lundgren, to be honest. Is he Ivan Drago?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's great in that.
He's great, a little limited.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, Rocky IV is a little limited. In other ways, it is unhinged.
Now we know.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about Rocky IV, and it's unhinged. It's great, but it's like, wait a minute, what are we doing here?
Now we know who should have played it.
Who?
Mark Singer. Obviously.
Mark Singer.
Mark Singer from V and Beastmaster.
Okay, so here's the thing. I've never seen Beastmaster.
Shit, it's on the list, right?
It is on the list.
It better be.
Well, because it also falls into the same category of, you know, Conan knockoffs and whatnot.
Yeah, but still, he's perfectly cast.
Okay, sure, why not? But so the other thing I'm kind of interested in, because this is getting long. The other thing I'm interested
This is
in.
important.
Here's the thing. This is a little bit of an important episode because, look, we're about to watch trash. I know this is garbage. My parents didn't take me to see it, and they probably just looked at it and said, no, I'm not going to sit through this for 2 hours. Oh. I love my child, but this is stupid. And you know what? They're probably absolutely right. In fact, I remember going to the movie theater. I forget what I was being taken to see. And it was at the old Sam Eric, right there on Chestnut Street, the Boyd Theater. It was one of the last movie palaces in Philadelphia.
It was amazing.
It was an incredible theater. This is where my dad used to take me to go to the movies when I was a little kid. It was either there or like the place in Andorra. I mean, we're talking like balconies and chandeliers. Like, this is an old movie palace. It is gone now because Philadelphia licenses and inspectioning and like zoning board are all corrupt and bastards. And don't even get me started. But this is where I used to go as a kid. And I remember my dad taking me to the movies. And I honest to God, I can't remember what he took me to see. It was either my dad or my uncle. And the only reason I'm saying this is because I'm trying to think, did this come out in 87 or 86? But I remember I was at the theater where this movie was playing and I was like, can we go see this? And they're like, no, we're taking you to see, I don't know, Bambi or something. Because I was definitely too young to go and see what looks like a Conan the Barbarian movie. And I just never followed up on it. Because, you know, by the time like I was old enough to have cable, it was into the 90s. And the last thing I'm going to do is sit and watch Masters of the Universe. I looked at it and went, yeah, I'm not watching that. Are you kidding me? No.
I've never seen it either, actually.
Well, I'm not saying you were too old for it at the time.
I kind of was. I kind of missed out.
Yeah, that's the thing. You were too old for this.
I kind of missed He-Man.
Yeah, well, you should have. You were a teenager.
Yeah.
You should have been into girls, not He-Man, unless you're like into, guys. Yeah. But, no.
It just, I don't know, it was like right after I kind of passed out of
appropriately
cartoonness. Then I moved on to adult stuff like Doctor Who.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. Same. Yeah. So, this is just something that slipped through the cracks. I know it's going to be garbage. This is going to be dumb. This is going to be bad. I am kind of excited to see Frank Langella playing Skeletor. He's not going to have the right voice, though.
I'm baffled.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's weird.
Like, I think I've seen clips, and I'm just like, I just still can't picture it.
He's not talking like this.
No.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Who was that? Wasn't there
I would rather have David Lynch.
Wasn't there a DJ, a Skeletor DJ in Philly?
Oh my God, yes.
A couple years ago.
Oh no, he's still around.
Okay.
He would do gong show karaoke essentially in Philadelphia, and so this guy dresses up as Skeletor, and we know people who know him.
Yeah. And
they would do shows at the Trocadero, and I think now they're down in Delaware or something.
He has personality.
He's like. If you're gonna have a villain, have one like Skeletor. He just, I don't know.
He's got that bod.
He's got that crazy bod.
And you don't have a face to distract you.
And he's got that whiny voice. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a feeling Frank Langella is not going to be that.
What a silly thing.
So here's the thing. I don't know what's in this movie. And it's He-Man versus Skeletor. Is the Sorceress going to be in it? Is Man-at-Arms going to be in it? Is Teela going to be in it? I don't know.
How does it end?
How does it end? They defeat Skeletor. Of course, what else are you going to do?
Does he, escape at the last second? Like, I'll get you.
Yeah, I'll bet there's something like that where they don't, kill him or anything.
Yeah. Because
this is a movie, a live-action movie made from a children's thing, and they want to have sequels, I'm sure. I'm sure they want to have sequels. They don't. I'm sure it's not.
So is there a connection to reality? Like a human from Earth?
I don't know, because in the reality of the TV show, that is a thing.
Yeah.
So
we know...
and also in the Christmas special, that's a thing too.
Yeah, these kids are beamed.
Yeah,
to the planet
understand.
somehow.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
If you've never seen the He-Man and She-Ra holiday special, seriously, go watch it. It's dumb as hell. It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
I look, you've got Skeletor being forced to walk around with these two kids wandering around in the wilds of Eternia, or
and
maybe
he learns the meaning of Christmas.
He does learn the meaning of Christmas. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
I genuinely enjoy it.
We've watched it almost every Christmas.
I have it on DVD, of course. It's look, Christmas is It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
It's The Man Who Came to Dinner. It's Santa Claus Is Coming to Town. Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
All right.
Grinch.
Yeah. You got your Grinches. You got.
The original Grinch.
You got your Rudolphs.
Not that.
No. Boris Karloff all the way.
Yeah.
Forget all the rest of that stuff. But sliding right in there. He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, guys, look. It's better in a different way from the Star Wars holiday special.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's also lacking because it doesn't have B. Arthur. But no, I will watch that. It's dumb. It's not good. But it is pretty great.
Yeah.
So on that note, shall we go find out what exactly happens in Masters of the Universe?
Sure.
The moment I saw the cannon symbol and a golden,
our old friend.
Oh yeah, a Golden Globus production, I'm like, oh, I know what kind of movie this is,
Yeah.
and I was right.
In terms of bad makeup, you've got the Green Goblin, that kind of famously non-moving mask
Yeah,
in Spider-Man, but this is the worst.
yeah, this is bad. There's more motility in Planet of the Apes. There is more motility in a mask that you would buy at Spirit Halloween. That wolf head you walk around wearing, your mouth moves more in that thing than ever you see like Skeletor or
It's so
Gwildor.
sad.
It's like
Oh, Gwildor.
oh man, oh god.
There's no shading or anything. It's just this white, like, you know that scene in Mrs. Doubtfire where he puts cake on his face? It's that.
Yeah,
it's
Skeletor.
just that.
Skeletor kind of looks.
Ooh.
Yeah. Did you ever read Achewood, the strip
Yeah.
Achewood? Do you remember Cartilage Head?
No.
Well, you're better off that way.
Okay.
But no, Skeletor looks like Cartilage Head, and it's really unnerving. Yeah, it's really bad looking. It's so awful.
And it's so sad because Frank Langella was psyched about this role.
He's acting his pants off under
He
this
is
thing.
great. He is like Alan Rickman in this thing. Like Alan Rickman, Gene Hackman, and Superman. Like,
Yeah,
he's up there.
He's trying. He's trying for that. He really is. He is,
Yeah.
and he's apparently cribbing lines from like Richard III. You
Yeah.
know, he is chewing the scenery like it is Thanksgiving dinner. So he's fine.
He's great.
He just looks terrible.
And to be honest, everyone's kind of okay. You
Well-
know, like Dolph Lundgren, no.
No.
But like
He didn't speak
he's-
English yet.
Yeah, but he's not terrible.
Here, okay, I hate to do this because like he's not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, Arnold wouldn't be right for the part either.
No, he wouldn't. Not at all.
No, because it's he's a heroic guy. Like Arnold's not really that heroic.
That's true. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, this is a PG movie.
Yeah.
Okay, and they really do keep it a PG movie.
Plus, apparently, Mattel they demanded that He-Man never kill anyone, and Canon's like, "Oh my God, really?"
Yeah, I'm with Canon there, to be honest.
And so, like, that's why all the Darth Vaders are robots.
See, I didn't catch that they were robots at
Yeah.
all. Like, I never thought about that once.
And they are Darth Vaders.
They
They're
are,
just
no.
walking Darth Vaders without capes.
Yeah, exactly. Look, this movie, they cobbled together just leftover props from, and this is true. Well, okay, so yeah, it looks like they just stole a bunch of stuff from Star Wars. Like that.
Although, speaking of, the designer, like the original designer they hired to develop Skeletor was Ralph McQuarrie, who made up Darth Vader. He's the Star Wars guy.
This makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, but it sounds like they dropped him.
Because I'm sure he wanted to be paid.
Well, yeah, and plus he had like this plan. He had like this silver skull with like red eyes, and
It would have
stuff
looked
like that.
great.
Yeah,
Anything beyond what they did to poor Frank Langella. All these robot soldiers, they look kind of like Darth Vader crossed with a SWAT team.
yeah.
Which, I mean, now, as I'm watching this, I'm just kind of like, oh, let's think about how SWAT teams look these days. It's
And a little bit like those what were they called? The sentries in the black hole.
yeah, I
They
can
look
see
a little
that.
bit like that too.
Yeah, definitely. But they also apparently just reused a bunch of stuff, like leftover props from and sets from
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. I think they reused sound effects from Back to the Future. I'm serious. Like the sound of the DeLorean taking off, they reused it a couple times in this.
Huh.
Yeah. And like there's just a bunch of stuff where they just reused other movies leftovers.
I didn't really look up the guy who made the music, but it reminded me of that Last Starfighter a bit.
Yeah, I can
Just
hear
that
that.
kind of generic,
Generic
adventure,
fantasy. Yeah.
fantasy. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the thing is, a lot of this is basically just a generic adventure fantasy movie. They definitely use the names of characters from He-Man, but almost none of this movie takes place on Eternia. I don't know. There's maybe like 20 minutes of anything that relates to the cartoon, and the rest of it is just, hey, some weirdos invaded a town in California and blow some stuff up.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, that feels like a very 80s plot. We have a framing device. There's this fantastical world. And, like, we kind of saw the same thing in, like, The Last Starfighter in a way. In this case, instead of being space aliens in the sense of, like, science fiction aliens, they're more like people from they're kind of aliens, but it's with that kind of fantasy framing instead.
Probably both sets of producers were really mad they couldn't film in a mall. They couldn't afford it,
yeah, exactly. Like, I'm surprised that they didn't, to be honest. Oh, so whatever town that they filmed this in, I believe I saw on IMDb, was later destroyed in an earthquake.
Yeah.
It's like everything this movie touches, it destroys. Yeah. The Cannon Group apparently went under after making this. It destroyed a town in California.
Yeah, they spent $22 million. They expected to spend $16 million, and they spent $22 million, and it put them under. Yeah.
The concept art, which ends up looking real cheap, but the concept art was all from the French Mobius,
yeah.
The main guy behind Heavy Metal, I guess. Which is also on our list because I've never actually seen Heavy Metal, but I kind of like I know what his stuff looks like. Again, that he do a lot of that concept art for Blade Runner.
I don't think he did for Blade Runner. He did for Dune though.
Oh, Dune is what.
Okay. The famous
Jodorowsky or the
Jodorowsky. He was part of that whole scene.
And the thing is, the opening of the movie has. Yeah, basically concept art of Castle Grayskull, and it looks pretty cool. It looks cooler than it does in the cartoon, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, it's got that whole pulp, like almost like the Hildebrand, or is it the Hildebrand brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has that kind of a look to it.
Yeah, that was cool, and then we never see it until the very end.
I know, and then they completely jettison it, and what we end up with is like just interior shots of Skeletor's throne room or whatever. Yeah. I guess it's supposed to be in Castle Grayskull. It looks nothing like the cartoon, of course, which is fine. I don't care.
It was a huge set. Like one of the largest sets they've ever built, and
that's your $22 million right there, man. Yeah. It still looks like cardboard.
It does.
It's a huge set, and it looks really cheap.
They should have used it more.
They really don't. It's so much of this movie is just set on like a random street in a small town in California.
Yeah.
And even that looks kind of fake for some reason. And it's not. It's a real town. But there's just something about like, I don't know if it's like the film stock they use. It never looks real. Everything just looks like a weird backlot.
But we get our movie with He-Man and Man-at-Arms and Skeletor and Kevin Corrigan.
But it's not that Kevin Corrigan. It is so weird. Very briefly, what happens is, you know, you have like Skeletor is taking over Eternia and Castle Grayskull and blah, blah, blah. And like, you know, magic happens and He-Man and all them end up in California where they run into Courtney Cox, who plays Julie?
Yeah.
Who is end of high school and headed for New Jersey to get away from the town that she grew up in because her parents are dead.
And you know, and to meet with Bruce Springsteen, who she danced with. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. She's going to break up with her boyfriend, Kevin. And they say more than once that his name is Kevin Corrigan, which is very distracting.
Yeah.
Because all I kept thinking about is the actor Kevin Corrigan. And I'm like, well, this isn't a Hal Hartley movie. What's going on here? So it's very strange to keep hearing him referred to as Kevin Corrigan over and over again. And it doesn't even look like Kevin Corrigan either.
No. The weird thing about Kevin is that it just felt like there was all these red flags. It's like, oh, this guy must be terrible. And then he acts terrible. And
he's just kind of a standard jerk.
But I mean, it just felt like a typical jerk boyfriend, and it's like, oh, I got to get out of here and move to my fantasy world, and you just assume that's what's going to happen. She's going to end up in Eternia, and fantasy happens, and
that's what's weird. Like the beginning of this movie definitely sets up for this idea that Courtney Cox is going to somehow, you know, get sucked into Eternia and spend the movie there. And end up like leaving behind, you know, because her parents are dead. She's going to leave town anyway, and she wants to break up with her boyfriend. So the logical thing that would happen in this movie is that she goes, like Dorothy to Oz, she goes to Eternia and ends up, you know, helping them in their resistance story. But that would have cost money. Yeah. And if there's one thing that Golan Globus doesn't do, it's spend money.
It's instead we just have her disappear and Kevin becomes the star.
Yeah, it's really weird, man. You know, because it's Courtney Cox who, you know, less than 10 years later, she's on Friends. I mean, you know, she becomes a big star. Yeah. But she kind of drops out halfway through the film, and they just focus so much on her boyfriend Kevin, and it's just like he's not that interesting a character.
He's a musical genius, baby.
He is definitely not a genius.
Everybody is a person.
Oh, God. Shut up, Gwildor. Can we talk about Gwildor for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. So
we should just talk about Gwildor from now on.
Poor Billy Barty. He's also trying to act, and he's stuck under just 10 pounds of prosthetics.
Yeah.
So Like, and so Billy Barty, I mean, this is a guy, he goes back to the 20s, I think. He started off as a child actor. He's in Bride of Frankenstein. He's in The Gold Diggers of 1933. He's in UHF. We saw him in UHF, actually. He plays Noodles. He's in a lot of things. He's also in like a couple movies we are still going to cover, like Legend. And you know what? I don't think I've ever actually seen Willow.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, we're going to
You haven't seen Legend?
No, I've never seen Legend. Oh. I've made fun of Legend, but I've never seen it.
Why?
I don't know, because I don't know. It looked dumb.
Look at we're talking about like bad makeup. It's the best makeup in the universe. Tim Curry, he looks amazing in that.
Well, we are going to watch Legend. So we will get more Billy Barty in the future. Probably over like sometime next year.
All right.
But so he's in this, and he plays a character called Gwildor, who is, basically your standard, gnome wizard guy. Here's the thing. In He-Man, we have a gnome wizard guy. His name is Orko, and he flies, he floats in the air, he's got a red cloak and a red hat, and you never see his face. He's got a blue scarf. It's great. And like Orko is like the character. Like I had little Orko figurines and keychains.
He has an O on his.
He has a big O on his shirt.
Signify this is who I am.
Yeah, basically O for Orko, and maybe because he's a loser, his magic doesn't always work. But here's the thing. So Orko floats in the air. As I said before,
is he in She-Ra?
He does show up occasionally in She-Ra. Because they go back and forth. Once again, Golan Globus is not going to spend money. So if they don't need to have a guy floating in the air, we'll just invent a whole new character to basically take the place of Orko.
So I'm fine with that, but then they have floating guys later in the movie.
I know, it kills me.
It's like you couldn't have like a robe floating around.
I just don't get it. Why didn't you just make him Orko? It doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna put Dolph Lundgren on a flying disc on a green screen and move him around so that he looks like he's on a popsicle stick, like it looks like a static image on a popsicle stick moving around a green screen. It looks terrible, but at least he's flying, right? There's an entire fight chase thing where he's flying. So why couldn't you just give me Orko?
Yeah.
Where's my Orko? Let Billy Barty play Orko. He would have been great as Orko, but no, instead we get him as Gwildor. And Gwildor's fine. There's nothing wrong with him, except there's just like kind of the usual sort of dumb fantasy, I'm your wizard guy type thing. And whatever. This is, it's fine, but it's just like, why not just make him Orko?
He does get them food, though.
Yeah. That's cool. He knows how to steal.
Is it cool? Was there really any need for that scene?
No, that scene was awful. There's a couple of weird things with food in this movie.
Is that a thing from the cartoon of like Man-at-Arms being hungry all the time or something?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, I didn't know.
No. Look, I don't think.
What do you think of Man-at-Arms, by the way?
I mean, he looks like Man-at-Arms. You're asking me if he's
he looked a little old.
Yeah, I guess the cartoon looks younger, but I mean,
I'm just saying, so we have Predator.
Yeah. Right.
Just use that cast.
Oh, yeah. Why don't you get...
Like, when you think He-Man, like, all you think of is, like, interchangeable arms. Like, everyone has the exact same arms.
That's true.
And then they just have a different body and a different head.
Yes. It's not even that they have a different body. Well, sometimes they do, but like mostly it's they just have a different colored body.
Right.
Sometimes they're red. Sometimes they're green.
So just get everyone except for Arnold from Predator and toss him in this movie.
I mean, yeah, basically. And whereas Jesse Ventura would have been fine as Man-at-Arms, actually.
Oh man.
God, it's what should have happened.
Yeah. Instead, they just put like these huge costumes on these guys. These heavy costumes that are like apparently like life-threatening to some of them. It just looks bad. Oh, Beastman looked good.
No, Beastman did not look good. He looked terrible.
He looked okay.
He looks awful. He did. Look, Beastman is he's supposed to be a Beastman. He just looked like a guy who needed a shave and some orthodontic work.
I liked him.
I bet you did.
I thought he was the hero.
Why? Because you looked like you were looking at a mirror? You seem to have a kinship with Beastman.
Yeah, he was pretty cool.
Gwildor has some sort of like magic device that if you play music on it, you end up in different worlds. And that's fine. I don't mind. Like this is a world that mixes and matches technology and magic. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of a sucker for that kind of stupid thing. I think it's because I was a child in the 80s, and that was the prime time period for that type of nonsense. You know, we're going to have swords, but also guns that shoot lasers.
Yeah.
We have electronic devices, but they do magic that puts you through portals.
And the greatest magical device in the universe is a keytar.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Halfway through this movie, the cosmic key gets broken, and they decide to basically rig up a new one using a couple of, technobabble devices that they're always carrying on themselves, and just a regular keyboard.
Yeah, basically like E.T.'s like umbrella
Yes!
device thing
That's all
that
this
he
is.
made. It's just like, a bunch of wires hanging on a bush or something. And
When I watch something like this, or frankly E.T., and I think to myself, if I had just applied myself, I could be on Mars right now.
yeah.
But no, I had to watch movies.
I played video games.
Yeah. How'd that work out?
I am now a computer guy.
No. We start off on Eternia, which just looks like a nowhere. Like it doesn't look like anything. It looks as much like a quarry backdrop as any episode of Doctor Who. And that's fine. That's about what I expected. Gwildor's magic cosmic key opens up a portal. He-Man and Teela and all them end up on Earth because they have to escape from Skeletor after they've been captured, and the sorceress is being held prisoner. And all of this has to take place in like one day because they have to save the sorceress from Skeletor before the moon reaches its apex or something like that. So, we've got a nice little timetable going, and that's fine. They end up on Earth, at which point, all of a sudden, we switch to this town in California, and we meet Courtney Cox, and we get her whole backstory. Her parents were killed in a plane crash within the past year, and she's about to graduate from high school and move to New Jersey, as we had said. Mm-hmm. And she has her sucky boyfriend, Kevin.
And she killed her parents because she lied to them that she was doing her homework when she was actually going to meet with Kevin.
You know what? I understand how a person can carry around that kind of guilt.
Yeah.
So basically her parents flew, I guess, like a Cessna. Like her dad is a pilot. Or he can fly a plane at any rate.
Yeah.
And they decided to fly over to the Catalina Islands. Girl, you did not kill your parents. Affluenza killed your parents.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. First of all, I don't believe in taking small aircraft. I don't like planes. I understand how flight works, and I have no problem with the concept of flight. No, because here's the thing. Again, the physics are fine, but a couple things. One, you're putting your life in the hands of a pilot. Now, the pilot doesn't want to die. I understand that, but pilots have error. Two, instruments can have error. Okay? Like, you go up in a plane. Like, I'm sorry. How often do small planes go down? Like, commercial air flight, fine, whatever. I have my normal nervousness, and like I don't like when you hit turbulence. And I remember the last time we were on a plane, we were coming back, and I just remember like sitting on the plane, and I'm listening to Jump Into the Fire. I decided to listen to Carrie Nilsson, and all of a sudden, like, the plane is, like, shaking as I'm listening to Jump Into the Fire. I'm like, oh, well, this is kind of the right way to die, I guess. All right, fair enough.
You're scoring your life well.
I am, yes. Scorsese would be proud. But, so like, I'm fine with commercial airplanes, but small airplanes are a death trap to begin with. Never get on a small airplane. I am dead serious. And so, girl, you did not kill your parents. They killed themselves. But she's carrying around all this guilt, and she just wants to get out of town. And the whole thing, like, her parents' death is, like, a plot point in this. So it's not just, like, the reason why she just wants to get away from everything. Later on in the film, Evelyn, who is the evil sorceress, who is Skeletor's sidekick, disguises herself as Courtney Cox's mom in order to get, like, the device away from her. It's like the usual kind of, magic thing. And
something that would probably happen in the cartoon.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is that type of, like, there's nothing in the plot of this which is unusually dumb.
Like, actually, there's some scenes that felt like the cartoon. Like the one where the 4 mercenaries find He-Man and they fight, and then, like, 2 Men-at-Arms and Teela come.
Yeah.
And they're scared away. It's a dumb scene in any movie.
Yeah.
As a He-Man movie, like, this is following the cartoon almost exactly.
Right. If this is dumb, it's because He-Man, the show, is dumb.
And it is, but like that worked for me.
Yeah.
I kind of liked that about it.
No, I completely understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree at all.
It's just that Kevin Corrigan and Courtney Cox, or Julie or whatever,
Yeah.
it's like that just drags the movie.
It does, and it kind of makes it feel a little weird. If we weren't being told this is a He-Man movie and it was just a generic fantasy movie, I don't.
We wouldn't watch it.
Well, yeah, that's true. A, I would never bother to put this on.
No.
But B, I don't think it would drag in the same way where you're just like, well, get me back to Eternia. Where's Skeletor? What
Yeah.
what are we doing? Like, so it becomes a frustrating movie because the whole time I'm like, I want to go back to Castle Grayskull. Don't leave me in California. What are we doing?
You know what? It would have worked like with The Last Starfighter.
Yes.
Because where that works is that, the framing device is you're stuck on Earth and, I can get out. you
Yeah.
know? And it slowly reveals, like, the other world or something. I mean, like, it has, like, a quick, in the beginning, it shows, the planetary whatever, but...
And this came out around the same time, I think, as Last Starfighter, didn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe even the same year.
It feels a lot like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's something very 1980s about them. And I'm not entirely sure why that is or where they're both pulling from. But there's something about, especially the mid-80s, where there's a type of movie where it's set in somewhere in the United States, and you have people from another world come in and wreak havoc. Sometimes they're aliens, sometimes they're just from another planet, whatever. That feels like a very 1980s sort of plot, especially for movies geared towards younger people. Like, I don't want to say like children exactly, but because it's not the Care Bears, although, but you know what I'm saying.
I mean, it feels kind of like Fallout from Star Wars.
But all of Star Wars takes place, in a galaxy far, far away. Like, they never come to Earth in Star Wars.
But what I'm saying is that, like, Fallout from Star Wars, in that, like, this is like the increasingly cheaper attempts to recreate Star Wars. It's like, well, kids like sci-fi stuff. Let's, try to cut back on the budget farther and farther and farther. And by this point, they're like, well, we're just going to do it on Earth.
Yeah, true.
And half of it will be in space.
Yeah.
It's like they just keep cutting and cutting and cutting to the point where it's like, okay, we have 10 minutes in space, and then we just have people in costumes running around for most of the movie.
No, you've nailed it. I think that's exactly what it is, and that's why it's a very 80s thing.
Yeah.
Oh, man, thank you. No, I think you're absolutely right. Maybe that's why we never quite saw something quite like this until then. I mean, you had like alien invasion movies in the 50s, which are kind of the same thing, right? Although their tone is different. For the most part, in like, alien invasion movies, the aliens are these enemies, and you don't have a He-Man type guy show up in alien invasion movies in the 50s in the same way. Do you know what I'm saying?
You know what I think is different from like the 50s sci-fi stuff? I think with Star Wars, like, no one's from Earth. There is no Earth. It's like there's good aliens and bad aliens, and that's it. I think before it was always Earth-based. The communists are coming down from the sky, and like, oh, we got to fight them. They're terrible.
Yeah.
And then every now and then they're like, oh no, maybe they're good. But like it's always like Earth-based.
Right.
And Star Wars was the first time where they're just like, no, there's no Earth at all.
I guess that's true.
I
don't
I'm
know.
sure there's books that did that.
Well,
but
no,
like,
yeah.
I don't know if that was in the cinema though.
Well,
that idea.
Like, I'm trying to think. What is it? Not Buck Rogers. Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon.
Like Flash
Is that
Gordon.
not Earth? Or...
Well, so here's the thing with Flash Gordon. Flash Gordon himself, I think, is an Earthling who is in space.
Right.
So I don't think they ever go back to Earth. And I'm talking the Flash Gordon from like the, 30s.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something where the aliens were always invading Earth in those other movies. I mean, not always. I mean, you had other stuff like Forbidden Planet. And you had other, so like it's not like we go to other planets, but I don't know. I do think you're right though. There's something about Star Wars and just let's make it cheaper. That's why everything's being set on Earth.
Like before it was Planet of the Apes. Like Planet of the Apes did the same thing to kids back then.
Yeah.
Kids loved Planet of the Apes toys, and they kept trying to make cheaper and cheaper versions of that. And then Star Wars comes and does a totally different thing, and you're like, oh, well, we'll make cheaper things for that.
Oh, that's a good point. And, honestly, Planet of the Apes maybe is not irrelevant from... God, which one is it where they end up on Earth? It's the one that has, like, Gokada Mataban on it.
So there's Beneath the Planet of the Apes, there's Return to the Planet of the Apes?
Or is it Escape from the Planet of the Apes?
Maybe it's Escape.
Yeah, it's the one where, like, they escape the planet. I guess it's the
apes
third
go
one.
back.
The apes go back.
So I think
and
the
that's
third
where they
one,
meet the original Caesar.
Well, they get killed, and their kid is raised by Ricardo Montalban.
Right.
And he becomes the original Caesar or something. I don't know.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've watched the later ones. Yeah, I need
But they
to go.
get worse and worse, and like I saw one in the theater that was after that. I think it was like the fifth one, and it was just like nothing.
Yeah, I mean they get there's like 6 of them of the original run, I think.
Something like that.
We have them downstairs, by the way.
Oh.
I have a box set. I mean, I only watched like maybe the first 3.
The first one's great.
Oh, the first
The
one
second one's
is
great.
Actually, I think the second one's pretty awesome, to be
Yeah.
honest, man. When you're in the we're kind of cutting all this, but when you're in that underground city and they find like St. Patrick's Cathedral, it is wild.
Yeah, that's
It
fun.
rocks. Yeah. No, if you haven't watched Beneath the Planet of the Apes in a while, go back and watch it. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
This movie, I wouldn't call it great.
No.
I mean, it's here. So, like, long story short, because it's not like there's a ton of plot. Oh, and there's an entire side plot where, like, Kevin is being harassed by this detective, Lubick, played by James Tolkien, who was the principal in Back to the Future.
And the guy in Top Gun, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
commander guy.
Oh, he was in a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
especially in the 80s.
I gotta send you the Top Gun.
So he spends a lot of this movie just harassing them and trying to arrest them the whole time. And, yeah, he's kind of a comedic figure.
It doesn't seem like he did much research on being a cop.
No, but it's, yeah.
He's just a hard ass.
He's just, exactly. He's just basically doing the thing he does, and he's fine in it. Although it's very weird at the end of the movie where they all get transplanted back to Eternia. The whole thing is Skeletor wants to get back the cosmic key because he wants He-Man's... Well, basically, he just wants to destroy He-Man. Because if he can destroy He-Man, then he can rule Eternia, and he wants to get the sword of Grayskull and all that stuff. A lot of the movie is them chasing.
It's a castle that has a skull on it. His face is a skull. He should be living there.
I mean, that is really more than fair. It does not make sense that he doesn't get to rule out of Castle Grayskull. He is named Skeletor.
Yeah.
His face is a skull.
But I guess he has to live on Snake Mountain.
It doesn't make any sense, really.
No. Sadly, they don't have Snake Mountain in this.
They don't. They keep referencing it, and they never show Snake Mountain. The whole middle of the movie is them on Earth fighting Skeletor's guys, and then eventually Skeletor invades with like his platoon of dudes, which are all robots apparently. 2 things. 1, I did appreciate that. Oh, by the way, I remember these toys. because like they're transport ships and like his like floating chair and all that stuff. Like I remember all that stuff on the cartoon. I'm like, I know what that thing is. It looks cheap. It looks terrible, but I know what it is. So that's number 1. Number 2, again, this is all being set in one night in a town, and there are robots marching through the town and blowing up cars. There's a ship that goes down the middle of a suburban. Why is nobody leaving their house and looking at this? Where is everybody? Like when you watch Spider-Man, people are freaking out, and like they all like there are people all over Spider-Man. Okay, why? Because Spider-Man's a good movie. Okay, there's nobody in this movie. Nobody lives in this town. Like, there's nobody at the high school. There's, like, one dude at the high school when it gets burned down. Like, this movie, there's nobody lives in this town except for Courtney Cox, her boyfriend, and a bunch of cops. Where is everybody?
Like, doesn't the people that work on this movie have, like, family they could have brought in and just say, oh, why don't you walk over there and look scared?
Seriously, there are no extras in this stupid movie.
No.
Why is there nobody like poking their head out? Like I just want one shot of an older woman looking out her window, going, "Oh no! Like where is everybody? How is it that nobody sees what's happening? It doesn't make any sense."
I think they blew all their budget on that restaurant scene. And then when they gave out $10 to all those people, they're like, we can't afford this again.
Seriously, it's like, hey, we already had a close-up of a couple making out in a car. Wasn't that enough people for you? Like, no, it's really not.
All the people are at that restaurant. They never leave that restaurant.
It's the only place in town besides the music store. Oh, and can we just go back to the music store for a second? Okay,
Oh,
so
boy.
part of the thing is Kevin is a musician. He plays keyboard in a band.
He's a songsmith. Is that what he calls him?
Or
A smith of songs?
or a song maker,
Sam
or
Crafter? I don't know.
yeah, who knows? Get this D&D nonsense out of here. Come on, man. There's a couple scenes that take place in this music store. For one thing, they blow it up at one point. And like at one point, there is an electric keyboard that catches on fire in a way that does not make sense for an electric keyboard to catch fire. I'm like, look, I've had instruments actually smoke. Like I've seen an amplifier catch on fire because of faulty wiring, but this is not what that looked like.
Has
this
it
just
gotten shot by space lasers, though?
not lately, but I've been tempted. But so before the place gets blown up, and we do meet the guy who runs the store, and it's important just because Kevin is a musician, and he, when they accidentally blow up the cosmic key and they build the other one, they have to steal a keyboard from the store. When they go into the store, okay, the first time, because he wants to show off the cosmic key to this buddy of his and say, hey, is this like one of these Japanese synthesizers or something? The song that's playing is Purple Haze.
Oh, yeah.
Did their entire budget go to play what, honest to God, if you listen to the soundtrack, is possibly the entire song, Purple Haze, is playing in the background? Like, how did they get money for this?
Maybe like Jimi Hendrix's like nephew or something was like a friend of like a someone that worked on the movie or something.
I don't know, because it's one of the only songs you hear in this entire movie, and they seriously blow the entire budget on Purple Haze. I mean, fair enough. I love Hendrix, so I get it, but
Yeah.
you won't bother to give us Orko. Okay, you won't give us more than like 10 minutes of this movie in Eternia, but you got Purple Haze.
Yeah.
They build their own cosmic key. After Skeletor has captured He-Man and gone back through the portal, they're able to like get back to Eternia through their own cosmic key. This is after Julie Courtney Cox has been lasered up by Skeletor. Like it's just like fighting and stuff, and she's dying because she's been hit, and so they have to get her to Eternia in order to have her cured by their wizards or something. There's a big battle, and He-Man fights Skeletor after Skeletor. Basically Skeletor essentially tries to become a god.
This is where it gets all Shakespearean.
This is fine. This is what I want from this kind of a villain. If only his mouth would move. If only there was more to his face than just like the eyes.
Well, at least they had like yellow effects going on his face there. That kind of worked okay.
Look, the big golden helmet he has on looks pretty great.
Yeah.
His transformation is pretty cool. There's a big fight between him and He-Man.
And that's where they ran out of money. I guess Mattel stopped paying, and then they just...
Did Mattel start watching the dailies and just be like, what have we done?
Yeah, and they stopped like 3 days before they were done, like officially scheduled to be done, and so like they did it on their own money, and like they just had like a black background and like lasers or something. And
Oh man.
yeah,
Skeletor is thrown into a lava pit. It's like the end of the movie Saboteur, the Hitchcock film.
oh yeah.
So it's the same sort of shot where he's just like, falling through space into the lava pit. Like it's all green screen. The guy who is, because it's not Frank Langella being thrown into the lava pit. It is, I don't know if it's the guy who plays like Beastman or something like that.
I think it's the guy who plays the sword dude.
Oh, the sword dude. He's actually the one falling, and he almost broke his neck because the cable snapped or something.
Right.
Yeah, jeez.
He felt like 10 feet or something,
God.
and like landed, and he rolled.
Movies are actually really dangerous. So the good guys win. Skeletor's defeated.
Evelyn leaves.
There is actually like a character arc for Evelyn in this, although it's not very well pronounced.
Yeah.
The sorceress is set free. Apparently, Detective Lubick becomes the king of Eternia for some reason. I don't understand. Like, where did that come from?
A new girlfriend.
And he's got
she's just this hot blonde.
And where did she come from? Like, why? Like, the end of the movie is...
I gotta go now.
He's the king. I don't understand what... Like, okay, first of all, in the TV show He-Man, The King of Eternia is He-Man's dad. He-Man is Prince Adam.
Well, now his dad is Principal Skinner or whatever his name was.
God, that's just Strickland.
Strickland, yeah.
I understand.
I
I understand why he said Skinner, but no, it's Strickland.
Yeah.
I just why does he get to be a king? I don't understand. But he does, and so Julie and Kevin get sent back to Earth. It's they kind of have this whole thing where Gwildor says, "Oh, I can send you back to any time you want," and they're like, "No, it's fine. Just send us back." And and suddenly I'm hit with this interesting for like all of 10 seconds, if even that long. I'm hit with this interesting moral quandary. If she could go back in time and save her parents, would she do that? Should she do that? It's an interesting question of should you tamper with your own timeline? What happens? Can you do that? Is it moral to do that? What do you change about your life if you go back and change things? And so it's for a split second, because this is something like I'm working on my own thing I'm writing, which kind of asks the same question of, is it worth it to change these things about your life? And so I thought for a second, it's interesting that the film doesn't have her go back and save her parents' life. Are they going to address that in the next 5 seconds of the film? So this is all happening very quickly in my head as I'm watching this. Well, the film doesn't really care about that, because she wakes up and it's kind of like a Back to the Future. I wake up back in my bed as if nothing had happened.
If only they had Huey Lewis playing.
Well, they spent all the money on Hendrix.
Yeah.
To be fair, this already has a better soundtrack just by having Hendrix on it. It's the only song on the soundtrack, but it's still better. She wakes up and she goes downstairs and her house looks normal. It doesn't look like it's been destroyed by, Skeletor's, robots and whatnot. And her parents are there. Gwildor sent her back to the day her parents died. And she gets a chance to stop them from flying to Catalina Islands.
Presumably Lubick is there.
That's the thing. So now I'm watching this and I'm thinking, okay, so we're just jettisoning that question, and that's fine. I mean, it's not supposed to be a deep movie. But then I'm watching and thinking, okay, does she have to go and relive an entire year of her life now? I don't want to overthink what is basically a stupid movie. But
well, Gwabdor or whatever his name is.
Gwildor.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
I shouldn't be thinking about this at all. This is why am I even bothered by this? But I'm a little bit bothered because I just think does she have to go and relive an entire year of high school? I would yeah, okay, I get my parents back, but I gotta redo senior year. Is that worth it?
See, my problem with the movie with her is that it's the classic Doctor Who sidekick problem where they have a backstory, they're interesting, like Sarah Jane. There's episodes where she's really interesting. She has a backstory. She's a go-getter. I'm going to do my own thing. And then she's just a damsel in distress for the rest of the thing.
Yeah.
As soon as, a beast flies through the door, she's screaming. And that's basically her lines for the rest of the movie is screaming.
Yeah. The movie does, in the end, make it all about Kevin being the hero.
The more they started talking about music, I was like, oh no, they're going to make Kevin the whole linchpin of this thing. I was like, oh no. I kind of wish Kevin was a younger brother instead of a boyfriend.
No. That's actually worse. That's worse.
I don't know.
Because now you end up.
I think it's better. I think I fixed it.
No, you definitely did not. Because now you end up with the problem of now I've got the genius little brother.
I'm just saying, if it was a kid, you wouldn't have to have a character arc because you can just kind of ignore the kid for long periods of the movie and then just bring them back and it's oh, I can do a song.
I hate when you have I'm the genius child who can just do this thing and fix it. I hate that kid. I hate that child so much I want to feed him to the monsters.
I normally do, but I was so annoyed by Kevin, I kind of wanted to replace him with anything.
You went for the worst option.
I should have been working at Globus.
Actually,
I can write these crap movies. I have just as bad ideas.
That's true, actually.
I could totally.
You completely missed your calling. When you moved to LA, you should have just pounded on the door. I guess they were out of business by then, but surely, whatever their successor was, you should have gone for them.
I could have been doing those Sharknado movies.
And that's basically the movie.
Except,
yeah, I left the credits run. So here's the thing. I let the credits run just because I usually do when I watch a movie. I'm always kind of curious about different things, and I want to check out soundtracks and stuff. And
the gaffer.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yes, I can look everything up on IMDb, but there's a part of me that's still feels as though I owe it to the people who make the movie to sit through all the credits. You know, I don't know. I respect craft, right? This has a goddamn stinger scene for a movie that never happens, because the credits are done and all of a sudden you're like right at the level of the lava pit, and up comes Frank Langella's skeletal head. Looking, as you said, like Mrs. Doubtfire with the Cool Whip. And he just says, "I'll be back." And then that's it.
Yeah, and he wasn't.
And he was not. He never came back. There was never a sequel to this. This killed a production company. This killed canon.
And they had a sequel planned where they had some surfer guy who was going to be He-Man.
Yeah, because they didn't want to pay Dolph Lundgren.
Right. And so they had this all planned, but at the same time they were making like a Spider-Man movie or something, because, you know, that's not going to, like, that doesn't cost any money. And who cares about Spider-Man in like the early 90s or 80s or whatever. He-Man was going to come back to Earth again, and he was going to be a pro quarterback or something. And it just, worse and worse. And hopefully,
wait a minute. Why would He-Man come to Earth and become a pro quarterback?
I don't know.
That's one of the dumbest guys.
It's so bad. So this movie, I guess.
Oh man, that is so stupid.
Yeah.
Is this a good movie?
No.
No, but it's under 2 hours. For the most part, it does move.
Yeah.
Frank Langella is if he just had a different face.
Because that face, it took me out for like a good half hour. I was like, you're still showing it to me. Please stop. That's so gross. Whatever that is.
So that was Masters of the Universe, starring Dolph Lundgren, Frank Langella, Meg Foster, Billy Barty, Courtney Cox, Robert Duncan McNeil. That was Kevin Corrigan.
Okay.
That's confusing. And James Tolkien and others. Chelsea Field is Tila. Let's see. Oh, Christina Pickles. We didn't bring her up. Christina Pickles is the sorceress in this, and she goes on to play Courtney Cox's mom on Friends.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's pretty wild. Oh, and then the mother of Courtney Cox in this movie, Gwyn Guilford.
Oh, she is Chris Pine's mom.
Because he is yet another nepotism baby.
Yeah.
No, but I did not know that. Directed by Gary Goddard and written by people with too much time on their hands. Actually, Gary Goddard apparently did some rewrites on this, and a guy named David Odell wrote the script. So you can follow us on social media. We are Mary vs. Movies on Twitter, as long as there is still a Twitter. Who knows what's going to happen there?
Yeah.
Sorry, we are Mary vs. Movies on Instagram. We are Mary versus the movies, I think, on Tumblr. I just created a Tumblr for us.
Oh.
And we are going to actually have a website very soon. I'm still just like coding it because I'm kind of like doing like I'm back forming, the older episodes. So, but that's going to be maryvsmovies.com. So we will have a website soon. And we also have a Patreon even, which is, Mary vs. Movies, where you can help support the show. We can send out stickers and buttons and stuff to our supporters. But yes, we are planning in January. Yes, we will be launching a Patreon-only podcast called Hollywood Avalon, where we're going to look at movies with Arthurian themes. So that's basically anything from Monty Python and the Holy Grail to whatever that Transformers movie is where King Arthur shows up for some damn reason. I don't know, man. I mean, no, King Arthur is sort of my wheelhouse. I thought, man, wouldn't it be fun to marry the two things? So the debuting in January, like once a month, we'll be putting out Hollywood Avalon.
Starting with
Indiana
Jones?
Yes, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, because that's kind of like a starting point for me. That was a very significant movie when I was a kid. So if you sign up for the Patreon, that is coming in January. So, let's see. We are on all of the major platforms. We are on Stitcher and Spotify. We're, of course, on Apple Podcasts, where you can rate and review us. We have gotten some very lovely reviews from some very kind people. We are on, basically anywhere you get podcasts. We're on Google Play. You can go to our RSS feed on Libsyn and just plug that into whatever your podcatcher of choice is and listen to us that way. We are wherever your ears are. Yikes, that's a terrifying thought. Yeah, just whispering in your ears the whole time, talking about like canon movies. So, yeah, next episode. Obviously, because of COVID, things got kind of out of whack. So I'm not entirely sure what the next episode's going to be. At some point in the future, we're going to be sitting down with my sister to watch Rattle and Hum, but I don't know when that's going to be just because, family stuff. So I can't tell you what the next episode's going to be. Plus, we also have like December. It's all going to be Christmas movies. So, that's going to be a whole block of time. So, when this comes out, it's November. I don't know what the next episode's going to be. So it will be something. It will exist, but I don't know what it is yet. So having said all of that, until next time.
I'll never kneel to you.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Or I'll wreak unforgettable harm upon you.